AskReddit by my Tilly Belly 107. Why were you ashamed of yourself like never before? I was never the most patient person and I despise being late for things. My wife, kids and I were going to walk down and hang out at a neighbor's house for the evening. They were taking forever and my wife kept stalling and we were going to be late. I yelled at all of them to hurry up and proceeded to be pissed off the whole walk down. When we walked in, it was a surprise party for me. She was delaying because they hadn't finished the decorations yet. Felt like a complete piece of shit. This was 10 years ago and it still bothers me. Definitely taught me to be a more patient person though. Friends threw a surprise birthday party for me, and to ensure I didn't walk in too early, they got the kids from upstairs a bucket of filled water balloons and had them chase me around while they got set up. After my father passed, it hit me how little time I had spent with him. I'll never get that time back, and if I allow myself to think about it too much, it rips me to shreds. I loved him so much, but I was fresh out of the house and living with my boyfriend and trying to be an adult. My father was battling cancer, and I could have gone to visit him so many times, but I didn't. If I could go back in time and scream in my own face to sit with him every day, I'd do it in a heartbeat. He deserved so much better. The 25th of June was the 7th anniversary of his death. This time of year always hurts extra. Always make time for the people you love. You are not guaranteed tomorrow, and regret is a potent poison. I skipped a visit to my grandpa and aunt, never got to make it up. Those things you can't even apologize for are haunting. When I was 12 or 13 I used to steal money from my grandma. I used to take advantage of the fact she was old and not very mobile and take money from her purse or from an envelope she kept in her wardrobe. Not huge amounts of money, perhaps £150 in total spread across a couple of years. She was the loveliest, kindest person I've ever met and I never heard her say a bad word about anyone or complain when she was in poor health. The worst part is I think that perhaps she knew but wouldn't have said anything as she wouldn't have wanted to get me in trouble. She passed over 20 years ago. I was with her when she went. I'm 47 now but still think about it often and am so ashamed of it. When I was a kid I stole a £5 note from my mom's purse, thinking she wouldn't notice it. A few hours later she asked me if I'd taken a £5 note from her purse and I said no and she looked really worried about it. We struggled for money a lot when I was a kid so that £5 was probably a big deal for her to lose. I felt really guilty about it for ages and a couple of months later I put £5 back in her purse 2 or 3 times to make up for it. When I was 19 I fell for one of those fake check scams. My mom had to help me pay the bank $2,500. I've since paid her back but I was so ashamed of myself. I had never broken down and sobbed so hard in front of someone. I was about the same age when I decided to fuck with one of those fake check scammers. I did decide to deposit the check, which I knew would bounce. I made sure to not spend any of the money that was falsely in my account, and thought it'd be interesting to see exactly how the process worked. Then, Chase cancelled my account for depositing a fake check and sent me a check for my legitimate balance. Wasn't expecting that shit. Somehow, I still got screwed over by the scammer even though I was trying to fuck with the scammer. Few years back went to visit my sister. At the time I reached at her home I had to pee really bad. I was so full I was walking funny. My sister, her husband and his mother came to greet me at the door. I said I need to use the toilet immediately and we all entered the house. Just then my little niece rushed from inside and hugged me. Her head hit my lower abdomen really hard and I peed right there. I did stop as quickly as possible but I had a big wet patch on my pant. At least it was just on the one pant. My grandmother was my favorite person in the world. Since I was a baby, she sent one real pearl at Christmas. When I was in my early 20s, she made them into a real pearl necklace. She passed away not too long after that. A few years later, I went to a school competition and lost that necklace. I still feel physically ill when I think about it. Eater, y'all, thank you. So many supportive comments. To those of you who have had the same experience, big hugs to you. I can only imagine how much that hurts. I'm so sorry. Spend some time thinking about how she would react if you were able to tell her. Maybe walk through the conversation in your mind. I doubt she would be angry. She wouldn't love you any less. Your relationship wasn't about the pearls. Maybe you could start gifting yourself one pearl every year on her birthday and start a new necklace in her honor. Back in elementary school, my class, including me, I won't play victim here, made fun of the nice teacher so much that he started crying. I've never felt so ashamed of myself until that moment. I still feel like shit up to this day. I've never seen him again after elementary school, so I never had the chance to say sorry. When I was in middle school, we had a computer science teacher that was extremely overweight and would do her makeup like Mimi from the Drew Carey show. She would come in every day with a 7-Up Big Gulp cup. This poor lady was literally tormented by our class. Kids would spam the printer with fat lard and pictures of big gulps and stuff. One day, someone found her wedding photo online. This was like 2003ish, and MS painted a bunch of stuff on the picture and then made every single computer background this photo. She had a total breakdown and ran out of the classroom and we never saw her again. I still think about that poor woman and how terrible we treated her. What's even worse was that no other principal, guidance counselor, or whoever talked to us about how fucked up the entire situation was, and no one ever got in trouble. If given the chance, I would absolutely apologize to her. When I was 18, I started stealing money out of the register at the mom and pop store where I worked. I can't even tell you why I did it. I had never stolen even a candy bar before, but I started stealing large amounts of cash by falsifying refunds on the register. It went on for about a year, and then one day I was called into the office where 2 detectives were waiting. I had stolen over $17,000 in a year. That wasn't the shameful part. The shameful part was telling my dad that I was being charged with 7 felonies, but that if he paid the grocery store back they would drop all charges. I don't know how he ever forgave me for this. He is the most honorable person I know, and the look of disgust on his face when I told him has stuck with me forever. And of course he paid them back for me. I'm 31 now and have mostly paid him back, but it is still something that makes me really upset. I don't think I've ever forgiven myself for being so stupid. Despite his disappointment, he bailed you out. That's a good dad. What's your relationship with him like now? I realized my dad had been standing in the doorway watching me dramatically shadowbox to tub thumping on the radio in my bedroom when I was in 4th or 5th grade. Getting knocked down, getting up again, the whole deal. My dad's a caring person and there was no reason to be so embarrassed, but I remember feeling wicked fucking stupid. As a parent myself, these are the absolute best moments. Guaranteed your dad was drinking it all and had good memories. I did a bunch of drugs and drank a lot when I was younger. I ended up in the hospital as a result. I remember having to explain to the doctor all the drugs I took, how often, how much I drank. I knew he'd probably heard it all before and was just trying to understand my condition. I sincerely doubt he was judging me too harshly, or maybe he was, who knows? Regardless, I just remember feeling immense shame when I was explaining that I basically hadn't given a fuck about myself for the last 13ish years. That was a lonely place. How are you doing now? I DoorDashed myself 4 sets of Twinkies from the gas station down the street. While this is in fact terrible, I salute you, first world enjoyer. Went to the bank and the lady who was helping me told me about a savings account I could set up and the benefits of it. Didn't really care about it, but she seemed nice, so I thought yeah sure, why not. She wanted to show how easy it was to do, so she asked to use my phone and do it, and I said sure. I just held my phone flat on my palm facing towards her while she went on Safari, and then boom. Ebony wants it in all 3 holes with thumbnail big as fuck on the screen because I forgot to switch from private to normal. She created a new tab really fast and done what she intended to do, and we both acted like she didn't see what she saw, but I died inside and couldn't stop thinking about it for the following days. Oh god, that's horrifying. One time me and my boyfriend at the time worked at a grocery store, and this old man came in once and walked up to my boyfriend and asked him to clear his porn history from his phone in case he died soon. He couldn't figure it out and didn't want anyone to find it. I wasn't standing there at the time, but he came to find me immediately to tell me about it. I had the flu with a crazy fever and went to Target to pick up cold medicine and Gatorade, and discovered that I was talking to myself when the lady in line in front of me turned around and looked at me horrified. I have no idea what I said, but she grabbed her as yet unloaded cart and skedaddled off to another register. There was a guy behind me in line and refused to tell me what I must have said, just laughed at me the whole time he was in line. This reminds me of the time I was sick as shit in Target with my mom as a kid. I was super congested and had a horrible cough. I started going into a coughing fit while we were in line for the pharmacy to pick up my meds. There were a lot of people in line. I coughed so bad and couldn't stop, and eventually gagged up a big wad of phlegm that I uncontrollably spat on the floor in front of everyone. I forgot about this until I read this comment. Fuck. That was shameful. I felt so disgusting to have done that in front of everyone. My alcoholism. It debilitated me. It ruined friendships, my health, my self-worth, my ability to live a normal life. I hated every single second of it when I wasn't ass sober tea kettle drunk. Even then I hated it, but it was more tolerable because I was too drunk to give a shit about it. Fast forward to now. Been sober since the 13th of August 2021. Spent 97 days in a rehab facility. Took back my life. Got a job working third shift, being dependable every day. I've gained the respect and trust of my father and mother and close friends all over again. I just went to a wedding almost a month ago and had so much fun being the one sober person there. I still have a lot of things to work on, but goddamn I am doing so much better than I was, and I can't look back and let the past ruin what I have now. I can't regain all I lost, but I can at least forge forward and make the best of what I have. It's an ongoing shame. I put myself in serious debt over the past couple years. While I do pay everything on time, I can't get approved anywhere to help put my debt into a lump sum. I recently picked up a car payment as well for my mother, as my grandfather was paying it for her, but he recently passed. It's a struggle, so when I finally do pay everything off I will most likely cry tears of joy. Deleted. Puking while shitting myself outside Paris CDG airport because of food poisoning was a low point in my life. NGL. Bubble guts during a road trip. Had to pull over and poop in the bushes. People were driving by and saw me. I will never recover from that embarrassment. Edit. Sounds like a lot of you share the same experience I did. I got the bubble guts while on a loaded tour bus in the Jordanian desert. I had to ask them to stop a SAP, and a SAP happened to be at a police station in the middle of nowhere. This being the rural Middle East, they did not have the toilets that I am accustomed to in the US. They had squatty potties, with a wall faucet and a garden watering bucket instead of toilet paper. In my pooper stupor, I had to run back out of the police station, where I saw my tour guide running toward me with a pack of tissues. He had apparently anticipated my need. The entire bus had to wait for me while I defiled the inside of that police station bathroom in such a way that I'm surprised I wasn't arrested. Talk about a walk of shame back to the bus. Deleted. Fuck, you brought out a memory I completely forgot about, and now I feel terrible. Very similar, my dad asked if I wanted to see an Illini football game, Illinois College, with him, my friend, and my friend's dad. I just didn't want to go. I was maybe 15 and I had a fuck ton of anxiety towards anything in public I hadn't experienced before. I'll have to get him tickets to go when I'm home next. I mean, nobody wants to admit they ate 9 cans of ravioli, but I did. I'm ashamed of myself. The first can doesn't count. Then you get to the second and third, fourth and fifth I think I burnt with the blowtorch, and then I just kept eating. Shitstorms are coming. Was on opiates, heroin in late teens to mid 20s. Life is better now, 12 years without that shit this August. This happened in like, 2nd grade and it still haunts me lol. I can't remember the exact conversation, but I boastfully informed my friend that I had basically been at a concert because my mom was at one while pregnant with me. Later found out this isn't even true. It was actually while pregnant with my brother. Anyway, my friend was like, "Oh yeah? What concert?" I panicked because I had absolutely no idea, and blurted out the first name that came to mind, James Bond. She gave me a weird look, and changed the topic. I later found out who, or what James Bond even is. I have no idea why I thought he was a musician, and proceeded to wish my mother had never been pregnant with me at all. Has this friend completely forgotten about this exchange years ago? No doubt. Do I still occasionally think about it while lying awake at night? Yes. Asked my friends if Michael Jackson was on American Idol once and they never let it go. I was 19, living on my own and making $8.50 hours. Life was hard. I stole some old computer memory from the place I was working and sold it. Made about $300, 100k SQFT warehouse full of computer stuff. They had probably written it off and it would have ended up trash. I rationalized the hell out of it. That was a lot of years ago, but I still feel like complete shit about it. I've only ever told one other person what I did. You kept a roof over your head and fed yourself. Maybe if you have enough now, you could make amends by doing the same for others. Donate or volunteer at a food bank or homeless shelter. Then forgive yourself. My mom died about 2 years ago. When I went through her stuff to see what to keep and what to throw away, I found various divorce papers, one of them detailing how both my parents blamed the other for my autism. Neither of them ever mentioned anything about this over the course of the divorce, of course, and have always affirmed they love me, but I've always felt somewhat ashamed of my autism and wished that my parents had gotten a normal kid, and reading that they blamed each other just filled me with shame for just existing. I'm so sorry. I spent a year and a half working as a freight broker and I was constantly horrifically ashamed of myself due to the nature of the job. If you don't know, freight brokers act as a middleman between shippers and truckers. So you tell me you need a load sent from Albany to Albuquerque, I tell you I can do it for $4,500 and I pay a trucker to do it for $4,000. Truckers hated us, but most of that was unjustified. We offered a legitimate service, as shippers won't just give the load to every Vlad or Egor in their truck. What made the job so awful for me is I'm a people pleaser to the extreme. I cannot let people down or fail people because it literally eats at my soul. 50% of the job was lying to a shipper I've just let down because of things that were completely out of my control. I hated it. I went in every day hoping a truck would crush my car. I'm in a far better place now. As a trucker and fellow people pleaser, I want to apologize for all the assholes. Most drivers don't realize that it's not the broker causing issues, or what drivers perceive as issues. I think most drivers also think brokers are taking most of the money too. There's a lot of misinformation in the industry regarding brokers. And drivers will let one bad experience taint every other experience. I couldn't quit drinking alcohol until it almost killed me and ruined my marriage. I've been sober for 8ish months now, and I feel great. I also quit the smokes too after 23 years and I can breathe much better. I got a Christmas present from my grandparents who weren't poor but weren't particularly well off when I was like 5 or 6, I would guess. It was a magic set and I told them I don't even like magic, my brother does. I don't know what happened next, but that memory flashes back to me from time to time and I'm always filled with shame. I miss them terribly and hope they forgot about it because I never have. My stepdad used to beat the living hell out of me. We're talking like I had to skip school sometimes to hide the bruises. When it got bad enough, I called the cops and he killed himself after he posted bail. My mother has plainly told me it was my fault my two little sisters no longer have a father. I have carried that guilt and shame around my entire life until it became who I was. Therapy is helping though. Look, none of this is your fault in any way. He was a horrible piece of shit who deserved to die. You should have called the cops long before then. Your mom is toxic as well for blaming you, and you should cut her off. And the two girls wouldn't have had a father. They would have had an abusive, terrible person hovering over them. It's good that he's gone and you don't deserve any blame. I once puked all over the dude sitting next to me at a party. We were just chilling and drinking. I even turned my head to puke on him. Guess I was too nervous to ask for a bucket, and though I could hold it down. Poor dude. Deleted. Wait, your friend fucked his twin sister?